So why does sprinkling Link's blood on Ganon's ashes bring him back? At least the rest of the story kinda makes sense in the grand scheme of things, but then you randomly have this Hammer Dracula movie reference. I don't even think there are vampires in this series. I know it's not important, but still. The f. Well, that's unfortunate. The year is 1987. Nintendo has successfully executed a hostile takeover of the entire planet with no realistic end in sight.
It's the Legend of Zelda and it's really rad. Those creatures from Ganon are pretty bad. Octoroks, Tektites, Levers too. But with your help, our hero pulls through. Yeah, go Link, yeah.
Except for a company with an extreme blue mammal mascot that would not only surpass their market share, but lead them to a bit war that would end up taking multiple console generations to recover from, only to immediately slip off the horse again. I'm sorry, this bit got off track. It's Zelda 2. People don't like it. The coolest thing about Zelda is how every single one of them left a huge impact on the industry. Zelda 1, grandfather of all action games. Link to the Past, the first one but better. Link's Awakening, the first one but better but handheld. Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time. These games are all so incredible that Wikipedia considers them some of the greatest games of all time. Except Zelda 2. In a family of doctors, this is the art major. With that said, I kinda have a soft spot for it. Now let's be clear here, it doesn't mean I like this game, it just means I hate this game slightly less than everyone else. Except for one awful thing, but we'll get there when we get there. Easily the best thing about this game is the combat. There's actual moves you can do. Granted, none of them are particularly complex, but one, it's fun, and two, outside of items, all you had in Zelda 1 was stab and stab but laser. So trust me, this plays fine, just different. And for Zelda 2, that was kind of the name of the game. Shiggy specifically wanted it to be different from the first one, so he made a whole new team for it. Instead of top-down, it was side-scroller. Instead of bombs and arrows, it had spells. Instead of a seamlessly connected world, it had an overworld with actual towns to explore. The good news, these towns are super useful for healing, magic, and new abilities. The bad news, with the exception of people who heal and give you new abilities, everyone here is completely useless, but you know what, still better than the creepy old man giving Link his sword. Now at this point you might be asking, wait, isn't this supposed to be the worst Zelda game? None of this sounds that bad. And you'd be right, dear viewer. So far the worst thing about this game are the random enemy spawns and the cryptic hijinks, which I feel really wouldn't be a problem for these people. Unfortunately, however, we haven't even begun to talk about the two main problems. Alright, let's get the easy one out of the way, the bosses. They all suck. Look man, the bosses in Zelda 1 weren't all that great either, but at least I can remember a few of them. Here though, all of them are either cheap, boring, or this guy who's actually pretty cool so he gets a pass. The second problem's a bit more complex, but also about a million times worse. To explain my deeply contained yet fully justified rage, I need you to think of your favorite action-adventure game. For the sake of simplicity, I'll be using Elden Ring, but it can be literally any game so long as there's a huge world to explore and the ability to lose. So in the year 2023, all of them. Now let's say you're fighting a hard boss. In this case we'll be using Elden Ring fans' favorite mommy, Malenia. You're getting yeeted left and right since, you know, this is Malenia.
And I have never known defeat. Strength. Extraordinary.
But after a few tries, you're starting to get the hang of her. You lose, get ready to make the run back, and you find yourself at the very beginning of the game with no way to fast travel. You might say to yourself, after a number of not safe for YouTube monetization words, that this is the dumbest thing in any game ever. And you'd be right. Welcome to Zelda 2. An action-adventure game that works on a live system, meaning if at any point you lose more than 3 times, right back at the beginning. That is, and I cannot stress this enough, the worst thing I have ever seen in games ever. I don't care if that was the norm for games back then, this is some bullshit. At least the first Zelda had the decency to just start me off at the beginning of the dungeon I was in. Here though, nah, only the last dungeon does that, meaning they 100% did this shit on purpose. Imagine this in any other RPG. Imagine doing this in any of the FromSoft games. Hell, this might actually be worse. At least there you have the tools to avoid encounters if you really need to. Here, enemies just hop out of nowhere and your stubby legs can't run from I actually like the rest of this game just fine. It's literally this one thing that makes everything so much worse. It turns this from mildly annoying to for fuck's sakes, just use a save state.